come and make a bit of a snack with me as I talk to you on this very hot day. Hello, I'm here. So, what are we talking about today? This morning? This afternoon? It's afternoon. It is 100 degrees at 12 o'clock. And I'm not here to talk about the weather. We get enough weather chit chat, but I want to put some things in context. Give me just a second. So, what I want to chat about is not the heat, but in some ways indirectly is about the heat. Because the thing about getting to a place in your life where you're in transition, and I'm talking to women over the age of 40 going into 40, 50, 60 and beyond, are folks. There's so many things that we are still going to be doing. Some of us are starting completely over again. Some of us are having the time of our lives. Some of us are looking forward to retirement. Some of us are looking forward to starting a whole new career because, let's face it, we're sick of the one that we've had and we're ready for something new. Some of us are raising kids. Some of us are raising grandkids. Some of us are raising no kids. And so there's a lot to look forward to. But I feel like part of what we don't give ourselves time to do is make the kind of decisions that could be life-changing and then acting on them before we let the world know what we decided to do. So Gen X, with the generation that I'm in, we're used to putting our heads down and getting to work. It's not something that we're opposed to or unaccustomed to. But one of the things that I find, at least for myself, is that because there are so many options for us where there didn't used to be, right? We grew up in the age of a lot of things: Atari, video game consoles, Commodore 64 computers. We had the first Walkmans and the first CD players and boom boxes. Like, we had a lot of technology, but it was still not technology that overwhelmed us. It was still not technology that gave us so many possibilities that we couldn't make really good informed decisions based on what we knew. And we knew a lot because, again, yes, we were getting all these interesting new technologies and it was cutting edge for the time, but it wasn't overwhelming. And we could understand after some time what to do with it, how to use it, how to make it work for us. I remember going to college the first time and getting a computer in my room. And this was a big deal because most universities at that time didn't offer computers in their room. But I had gone to a small private school in Iowa, and one of the perks that they offered was that you would get a brand new computer in your room, in your dorm room. And so, nowadays that seems like a silly thing because we're literally carrying computers in our pockets. But at the time, it was a big deal, the things that we could get up to in our world. Fast forward into the world, I won't even call it the brave new world of what we live in now, because I think that, sorry, I'm just checking, y'all can still see my cutting. I'm not even calling it the brave new world because I think if you've read the Huxley book, which is what that tends to be based on, I don't see this as some dystopian future that we're just living in until the end. This is a time of technology. This is the technological advancement age, I'm sure is what the history books will call it. And there's enough bad about it for me not to get into it. There's so much good about it. There's so much that allows us in our 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond to recognize that we're going to be here for a while because of advances in medical technology, because of advances in living technology. Let's not even talk about the medical piece. Let's just talk about living, the comfort. I am standing in a kitchen. It is 100 degrees at 12:12 in the afternoon, and I am cool. I'm not suffering from heat exhaustion. I don't have any, short of the power going out, I'm not going to end up with heat stroke. I'm not planning to go outside today. But if I do, I'm going to step outside. I'm going to water the plants. I'm going to come back in. If I go somewhere, I'm going to have air conditioning. I have air conditioning in my car. Any place that I go, there's going to be an air conditioner running to keep us cool. If I go to the grocery store, there's going to be plenty of food for me to choose from. And that's what I mean. Like, we have we have seen things, ladies. We've seen so many things. And in some ways, because we have lived through so much and we've seen so much, we take it for granted that we have all of our answers pretty much in place because we're older, right? We're at that age where most people are like, well, you're going to start slowing down, but we're not going to start slowing down. And that's what I want to talk about briefly as I cut my apple. We're actually not slowing down. And maybe you want to. And if you want to slow down and think about retirement, the options that are available to you are phenomenal. And we'll talk about that another day, how retirement isn't retirement anymore. Like, you can retire and move and relocate and take your life in different ways to different places that we never ever would have believed. I attend this thing called Exodus Summit, and I attend it because though I can't move out of the country at this point because of other obligations, I see my retirement years living in a foreign country, opening beautiful double doors out and either to an ocean view or a mountain view, and that being retirement for me. Like, that's what I envision. And so I know that that's not something that many people would have thought about 20 years ago or even 10 years ago in some ways. But now, we ladies of the 40, 50, 60, and beyond, we are inundated with options. And so, what I want to talk to you about, hang on, let me throw this away. What I want to talk to you about are, what are you exploring? What options are you thinking about bringing into your world that you would never have thought about 10 years ago because it didn't exist yet, or because the mindset needed to get to this place wasn't there for you yet? What do you want to do, and how do you want to do it? Like, if you want to be a doctor at 40 or 50, that used to be like, you never could have become a doctor. You never, I mean, you could have, but it would have been a lot harder. And now, with medical advances, with the ability to correct things like your vision, to fix our heart, fix so many parts of our bodies that allow us to live longer and better, not just longer in the same amount of pain, but longer and better. Our options for things that we can physically do are greater. The ability to, yeah, you need to put a little salt on your apples, y'all. I mean, come on. It doesn't have to be a lot of salt, but you just need to get yourself a little bit of salt. A little bit of salt. Like a little Good and Gather Himalayan pink sea salt. That's all. I've got some really good pink sea salt up there in the cabinet, but I'm going to use this up right now. Anyway, always put a little bit of salt on them apples. It brings out that sweetness. It's really good. And then, of course, we have the peanut butter. Done with a knife. Okay, so because we have advanced and we live in the age where not anything is possible. I'm not gonna blow that smoke up here. But a lot of things are possible now. We sometimes get analysis paralysis, right? We feel like there are too many options and I just want somebody to tell me what to do. I want it to be simple. I don't want the options and the opportunities necessarily that are out there because I don't know what to do with them. But you know what? Here's the beauty about getting older, about being the woman in transition that you are. You don't need someone to tell you what to do. You don't need someone to tell you which options are best for you. You just need to answer the questions of your life in a way that brings the answer to you almost effortlessly. So for instance, does it bring you joy? If you're deciding to do something major with your life, transition into someplace, move someplace new, go back to school, quit your job, start a business, start a novel, start writing your book, adopting children if you decide that you want them, or not having children and settling into what that looks like. Does it bring you joy? Question number one, does it bring you joy? And what does joy mean for you? What does it feel like when you say, does this bring me joy? What is the feeling of joy that you need to be at for this decision to be a yes? Because if it's not that feeling, it should be a no. It should just be a no. That starts to weed out a lot of the things. Everything out there is not going to bring you joy, so don't do it. Don't do it. Number two, does it get me where I want to be? If your goal, if you're in your 40s or your 50s or your 60s and you're like, well, my goal is to retire on a mountaintop or in a valley or oceanside, what do I need to get there? Okay, what I need to get there is money, time, either financial independence or a job that will put me there, or a retirement plan that allows me to invest so I can get there. What is it that you need to where are you trying to get to? And then the question for everything that comes up as you transition is, does this get me there? Does this get me closer? If this doesn't get me closer, don't do it. So one of the things that I had to really reckon with as I am transitioning from 40s into 50s is that my goals, my dreams are getting closer to fruition. So I either need to speed up some things to get there and make sure I'm on target, or get there faster, because I don't want to delay. I don't want to delay the things that I want to have happening in my life, right? So that means choices. It means choices now to help with what's coming, but it also means embracing the now and recognizing that I'm gonna make decisions now that get me there and keep me happy and joyful. Remember, joyful along the way. So those two questions. Does it bring me joy, and does it help me get to where I'm going to be? If the answer to either one of those is no, with whatever it is that you're facing, then don't do it. Whether that's getting a new cell phone, buying a new car, building a house, tearing down a house, moving, staying, marrying, divorcing, whatever. If the answer is no, then we've earned the right, having lived through monumental changes. We know what it's like to live through monumental change. We're not afraid of that. And so if the answer is no, then we say no and we keep it moving. And if the no brings a tidal wave of change, well, remember, we lived through boomboxes, Atari consoles, Commodore 64. Got to be home before the streetlights are on, because there was no such thing as cell phones. We lived through the first pagers. We lived through leg warmers and Aquanet, okay? We got this. So if the tsunami comes because we are following our joy, because our blueprint has joy at the forefront that says, okay, if it doesn't fit my joy and it doesn't get me closer to my goals, it's a no. And that brings an avalanche of things. We know how to ride the avalanche. We invented, right? We invented the longboard. We know how to do this. We invented snowboarding. I mean, we might not have, but we are the generation who said we can ride anything if you just give us a board or some skis or something or a sled. We can ride anything. And so I'm going to wind this down because I want to go eat this lusciousness right here. And I have my cute little water bottle filled with water this morning before I go do my exercise. But I want you to just think about that. Like, you don't have to be overwhelmed with all the possibilities that come to us, because by our very nature of just living this long, we get to partake in it. And some of it is just that we've been alive long enough that we get to do it. We get to do it. We get to enjoy some of the technology that maybe was in its infancy when we were in our infancy, but we're all grown up now. Hip hop is 50 years old, and I was a baby of hip hop. At 50 years old, hip hop was born. Well, I was born also at the same time. So I didn't really enjoy hip hop in my infancy, but man, I sure got to love it in my 20s, and I still love it now as I approach the transition between 40 and 50. All right, I hope that this helps someone out there who might be struggling with overwhelm and analysis paralysis of too much information. I'll be back again, and look forward to the Woman in Transition podcast starting next week. Thanks, everybody. Take care. Bye now.